Hi, everybody. Thanks for visiting us here at LankSports.com. I'm Keith Schweigert. He's Jeff Reinhart, and we're here to preview one of our two spotlight games for Week 3 of the Lancaster-Lebanon League football season. On Friday night, we have Selinsgrove visiting Manheim Central. This one kicks off at 7 p.m. in Manheim, and Jeff will be bringing you all the action via a live blog. Jeff, this one, of course, is the rematch of last year's AAA state final, which Selinsgrove won, of course. Both teams do have a lot of new faces, though, on both sides of the ball. How do you see it shaping up?
Rematches are always fun, and now that we have like East teams going West, you rarely have like state final rematches. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Central's got sort of an axe to grind in this one, no doubt about it. Lost 10-7 in the state final, and like you said, both teams got cleaned out. Central, 10 new starters on defense. Selinsgrove returned 4 starters total, 2 on offense, 2 on defense. The only kid you might remember is Kyle Reinard, the running back, 1,200 yards last year. Rematches are fun, and Central kind of circled this one, and it's funny how it all worked out that they play in the state final, and now they're coming here for and playing them the next 2 years. That's pretty crazy. A lot of new kids, both teams kind of trying to establish an identity. Selinsgrove's 0-2 and really struggling here. They've given up a bunch. Central coming off a 3-point loss to Wilson where they hung in and could have, should have won late. Didn't do much offensively, and as we mentioned the last 2 weeks, their defense struggled again. So first home game for Central. They'd love some home cooking. They've been waiting for it, and they've had this circled since the state final game. I'm sure they want a piece of Selinsgrove, regardless of kids and names and jerseys and faces. They want to beat Selinsgrove.
Sure.
No doubt.
Well, as you mentioned, the big issue, I think, for Manheim so far this season is the defense, and they have just been shredded in the last 2 weeks. And last week, of course, you were at the game, and Wilson's Rodney Gillen just ran him over. He had more than 200 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. Even though the Barons, hung in that game, got to be concerned with what they're doing on defense and how teams are just running wild on them. What do they got to do to get things shored up there?
Got to stop the running game. Here's your stat of the week. Manheim Central, and this just boggles me when I looked at this. Barons have given up 593 rushing yards. That's worse than the league.
Yeah, those aren't Manheim numbers.
No,
that's for
when's
sure.
Manheim ever last in the league in anything? Yeah. And they're near the bottom of the league in team defense, 344 yards a game against. So they got to tighten it up there. And everybody kind of kiddingly said that after week 1 because they won big, and it was, okay, we won and we'll get better. But Wilson really just gashed them. And Gillen had 228 and 3 scores, including the game winner late. So I don't know how. I don't know how they're going to do it, but Central has got to tighten up on defense. They got to have one of those games where they hold a kid under 100, hold a team under 200, maybe pitch a shutout. Central needs some good vibes on D. I thought some kids stepped up and played better individually last week, but they just could not stop Gillen. He just had cutbacks and jukes and jives, and he was fabulous. So Central's got to tighten it up, got to practice better, got to be better on Friday nights. They got to get better defensively because 593 is not going to cut it. No way.
Now we should point out in Central's defense, Wilson obviously is no slouch. No. They're contenders to win the title in Section 1 every year. This year is no exception to that. And this year, I think one of their strengths, even though they're pretty inexperienced overall, is that they have a lot of size on the offensive line. And, maybe that was a matchup problem there for Manheim Central. We don't know. But whatever the reason is, they got to shore it up.
Definitely.
Now, if you're Selinsgrove, the Seals are coming in with an 0-2 record, as you've mentioned, and they haven't really looked good in either of those. Last week, they got dusted by Danville pretty good. I don't know how strong of a team Danville is, but if you're the defending AAA champ, you shouldn't be getting blown out by anybody, no matter how many teams you lose. So I know they did lose a lot of seniors off of last year's team, but what can you tell us about the Seals? And do you think they have a shot in this game?
Well, I'm going to pick Manheim Central. I think Central gets the home cooking and gets a little revenge here. But just with the 4 kids back, that's it. And like you said, they've struggled. They lost to Mount Carmel in week 1, 14-0, so they don't score. Come back against Danville and give up 312 rushing yards, so their defense got gouged. So they've only scored 22 points in 8 quarters, given up 56. It's probably a combo of things. It's probably just a whole bunch of new kids learning on the fly. I know they lost a ton of great kids from graduation. And let me mention Seth Lawver quick, the senior. He's the guy who scored the winning touchdown against Central last year, the fullback in the state title game. He was paralyzed in a car crash in the offseason. So he didn't come back, so they're missing Seth. I know he was on the field the first 2 games and had a jersey on, and he's part of the team, but he's not playing, obviously. So that was a big loss for them, too, on top of all those seniors. So it happens. It's cyclical. You have kids, you lose kids. It's high school football. But definitely a rough start for Selinsgrove. We'll see how they do, because I'm sure they want to come to town here and put on a good show and prove that, they're no fluke after winning it last year.
Yeah, and those really are jarring numbers when you look at the yardage that Selinsgrove is giving up, because they've really hung their hat on defense, especially last year, but even in the years leading up to that, when they were kind of like that Manheim Central role where they would move, like every year they would take one step further in the state playoffs, but never really got to the big game. Last year they got there and won it, so it got to be disappointing to them and their fans to be struggling this much at the start.
No doubt.
So we'll see how it turns out on Friday. Don't forget, folks, if you can't make it out to the games on Friday night, visit us at Lancaster-Lebanon. Jeff and I will be doing live blogs from our 2 Spotlight games, bringing you all the action from those, but we'll also be bringing you all the updated scores we can find from our correspondents across Lancaster County and all the games that we cover here at Lancaster Newspapers. We'll be posting those both on our live blogs and in the ticker that runs across the top of our main page, so be sure to check us out there. We'll have all the final scores up within minutes of the final buzzer. We pride ourselves on how quickly we get to those. And of course, Jeff and I will be doing a video wrap-up of all of Week 3's action. We'll have that posted late on Friday night. So again, thank you for visiting us here at Lancaster-Lebanon, and enjoy the games on Friday.